Hello, good evening. I welcome all our viewers to this IAI3 Edu Talk. These are sessions in which we conduct interviews, conversations over coffee, where we call people like you and me, and we share their stories. So IAI3, it stands for the International Association of Industry Institute Interface. So we are an educational portal and we believe in upskilling students. So we have had professionals sharing their journeys with us, business people, entrepreneurs, IT specialists, image consultants, and many, many more. So our vision is to help students along the way, as well as showcase the stories of humanity helping humanity. Now, during the pandemic, although it had such a sad aspect to it, but there were many people who very creatively started helping each other, as well as found new ways of sustaining themselves. There were young people who helped artisans do online marketing. So this spirit of helping each other. Now, we are going to, in the upcoming interviews in the pipeline, we have some interviews lined up for you where professions have been taken up by people with their skills. People like voiceover artists, compares, storytellers, and RJs, where maybe there is no structured way of teaching that, but they have been able to find professions doing that. So our stories of our people who have done out of the box things, but people who are simple and they are ordinary, but they have done extraordinary things with their lives. So I am Anjali Sangvi, I am a soft skills trainer, and I am a member of IAI3. Now, one such person is Mrs. Manuel Casamian. It is incredible big honor for me to introduce to you Mrs. Manuel Casamian. She is a person with such a bright smile that her smile, it will illuminate at least 1,000 homes. So much of high energy. She loves life. She loves to experience different cultures and foods and music and also travel. Now, during the course of her travels, she has collected a very rich tapestry and woven magic into it with anecdotes, stories, episodes, chronicled all her experiences in a blog. Manuel had come with her husband and her children to India 4 years ago. She was born in France. And in France, she was educated. She became a teacher. She got married. And now she has 3 young, handsome boys. During the pandemic, they had to return to their country. But her rewarding, exciting, delightful experiences, maybe some of them were unusual, she is going to share with us, and all this she puts in a blog, and she is also involved with one NGO in Pune. She has just come back, so she will take up that work again in a little while. So Manuel, once again, I welcome you to our show. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Anjali. Thank you for your kind words. I hardly recognize myself. I'm very honored to be your guest and to share my love of India with you and all the guests.
Thank you, Manuel. And our viewers, myself, we are excited to know that the first time when your husband came and told you in France that, or which part of the world you were in, that now we have to go to India. And what was your reaction that time, Manuel?
When we heard we were going to India, my first reaction was surprise. We were living in London, and it was our first expatriation. And the whole family spent 2 wonderful years in London, and we had no idea what would be our next destination.
Yes.
And I must admit, I didn't know much about India. It sounded like a very mysterious country, very enigmatic and far away. And so my first reaction was a surprise. And after the shock passed, I was very excited and curious.
Yes.
I look forward to go in a country with a very rich past and lots of traditions and unknown gods and goddesses and one of the oldest civilization. So I felt blessed to move to India. And people used to say that you will not change India, but India will change you. And I wonder how a country could transform me. I was curious about that. And I expected many family adventures, lots of surprises. And now I realized that I was far away from imagining what was going on.
Quite true, quite true. What to expect, you know, like one has some idea, but it must be so different.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's so beautiful. And Manuel, it was like a new adventure for you. So after coming to India, what was it like? It must have been a new culture, new surroundings. What was it like for you?
When we first arrived in India, all was new and it was a complete cultural shock. New sounds, you know, our gaze was not familiar with our new environment. New sounds, new tastes, many colors, many people, new climate. We expected to come in a sunny and hot country, and we arrived in August, and it was the monsoon, and it was raining all the time, and we were very cold.
Exactly right.
And everything simple and basic thing were an adventure. You know, like even walking in the street was very complicated. You know, it's very common in France to walk in the street. You walk on the sideway and cars are on the roads and they keep their line and there is no U-turn and there is no horn, except if there is a big danger or if you are very bad educated. And suddenly I had to walk on the road among a crazy traffic. And, you know, many cars, many rickshaws, many scooters, street dogs, even cows. And I was completely lost.
Yes.
And this was the easiest part because after a few meters, I have to cross the road. And no pathway, very few traffic lights, and which were not really respected, and no pedestrian signal. You know, in France, in addition to the traffic light, you have the two men, the green one when you can cross and the red man when you have to wait. And I was desperately looking for this pedestrian signal. And when I was a child, I was taught, and I taught my children, that before crossing the road, you have to look both sides of the road.
Yes. Yes.
And you cross when there is no car, no vehicle. And this never happens here because there is always a car or a rickshaw coming. So it was very confusing. And I used to say that I love India, except crossing the road.
I know it's still really difficult, you know, it takes some time to know the dynamics, how the traffic moves, so you become an expert at crossing them, you know. That
yes.
Is so,
and
yes, so beautiful.
Yes, and you know, one day I had to cross a very big junction, and I say, okay, I'll be brave. I pray, I go straight and I close my eyes. And suddenly a man stopped me and said, hey, wait, don't go now. And, and then I understood that what looked like a jungle for me, like with no rule, In fact, it had its own rules, but I didn't know them and I didn't suspect them. And this is probably what is the cultural shock. It is not only have your five senses overstimulated, but it is also that you have to see the world with a different perspective. You have to switch your paradigm, and this is a very personal experience, because what is very scary for me or very enigmatic is not a problem for my husband or for some other foreign friends. So each person has its own challenge and its own comfort zone to go beyond.
Yes, that's true, Manuel.
And it is probably what is incredible in Pune. It's that you have something which will surprise you, and you are always alert.
That's right.
And another nice thing is that you have to rely on others to understand the world in where you live, because it's like another planet.
That's right.
And so, when I'm lost or when I need help and when I ask help in the street, there is always someone who helped me and who take care of me. And Indian people are very welcoming. They are very kind. And they always do their best to help you and to feel you comfortable. And I'm very touched and I'm very grateful for this generosity.
Oh, that's really so beautiful, Manuel. And you yourself have been so receptive and open to all cultures wherever you have traveled in the world, which I think is a very big quality, because then you experience life and all its beautiful blessings that it comes to us. So you have also been very adventurous, I think. And Manuel, you've got children who had to come from France and then they settled down in school in India. So did they have to make some, of course they managed very well, but did they have to make a few adjustments in the beginning when they came?
Yes, absolutely. When we arrived in Pune, my children were 14, 12, and 9 years old.
All right.
And they always have been in the French system, even when we were in London.
Yes.
And the French system, of course, the teaching is in French.
Right.
And it's a very traditional and very academic system.
Yes. Yes.
The teachers, they face the students and they give the lesson, and yes. After that, children, they have homework to do at home, like they have to learn the lessons by heart and then to do some exercise.
Right.
And this is the way it works in France. And when we arrived in Pune, there is no French school in Pune.
Yes.
So there is one in Mumbai, but there is none in Pune. So they went in an international school.
Yes, right.
And international school are private school, and they prepare to international baccalaureate. And they have the same model in all the countries. So, it's the same assessments, the same grades, the same organization. And international schools are completely different from the French system. And, the children, they are encouraged to build their knowledge. So the teacher is here to supervise, and the children, the students, they do their own research, and then they do some presentation for other students.
Right.
And they build their knowledge this way. And so it's a completely different way of teaching and of learning from France.
Yes.
And that was a very big challenge for my children. First, to understand how it works, and then to accept it.
Wow.
So, but there was other challenge, like, they were not fluent in English. So because French is their mother tongue, so that was another challenge. And then they have to build new friendship, to make friends.
Yes.
But because it is an international school, the environment is quite international. So there are many students coming and leaving. So that was easiest.
Easier.
Yes.
That's right. That's really nice. And they've done so well now. And then,
Yes.
Manuel, before the pandemic started, when you came, did you have any experience of our festivals, Indian festivals?
Yes,
Yeah.
there are so many, there are so many festivals in India, and so many occasions to dance, to celebrate joy and pray and eat food, but of course we experiment some of them. And the one I remember the most is Ganesh Festival. When we arrived at the beginning, we had no apartment to stay, so we were in a hotel.
Yes.
And we knew very few about the culture and about the festivals. And one day in the hotel, we discovered that it was so beautifully decorated, with colorful flowers and candles and balloons and rangolis. And the people in the hotel, they wear some traditional clothes.
Wow.
And the woman, beautiful jewelry. And we didn't understood what was happening, but we understood that something was happening, but we didn't understood what was going on.
Yes.
And then someone explained us that it was Ganesh Festival, and the staff of the hotel, they have prepared a home temple in the basement with a statue of Ganesh with flowers and offerings, and they invited us to pray and to celebrate Ganesh Festival.
Oh, nice.
And it was such a wonderful feeling, to feel like at home and to be part of the festival and to be invited in this festival. And after, there was a fantastic meal with a fabulous buffet with many delicious dishes. And there were the dance and the drums and all this joy. And since then, Ganesh has a very special place in our hearts.
Oh, I'm so completely happy to hear that, because we pray and we celebrate in a different way. Sometimes we do it at home, sometimes we do it in a public space, which is like a society garden or something. So the whole community comes together. And also we celebrate festivals of all communities in India. So virtually every month there's a festival.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's beautiful, because that's the way we are, I guess. Now, Manuel, you travel so much in India. You've been to Rajasthan, you've been to Goa, and I'm sure many other places, Mumbai, and all the beautiful hill stations around Pune. So do you have anything to share with us about your travels in India?
Yes, India is a very, very big country, and there are so many places to visit. So we visited many places in Maharashtra. Yes. We went in near Pune. We went in Lonavala and in Matheran during the monsoon.
Ooh.
And yes, and it is incredible environment. The nature is very green. There is this waterfall, and all these Indian people taking selfies with the wonderful decor.
Yes.
Yeah. So this was very refreshing, after Pune and the traffic and.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And we went in Ellora Cave.
Right.
And yes, this fantastic archaeological site,
right.
And with Buddhist and Hindu and Jain caves. And it was the first time we saw something like that. I was very impressed by these caves, these wonderful caves.
Yes, yes.
And we went to Nasik, and it was a very funny trip because we went there with 2 other French families, and we visited the Sula winery.
Oh, lovely.
Yes.
Lovely.
And you know, in France we have many vines and wines, and we were curious to discover the same in India.
Yes.
And so we did a tour and in the winery, and it was we were very surprised because it was very similar to France, you know, some buildings, they were looked like some houses in the south of France.
Really?
Yes. And then of course we do the wine tasting. And you know, with the wine glass, and first we taste the wine.
Yes.
The white wine, and then the red wine with some cheese, and it was like, you know, like in France, more or less.
Oh, it must, I cannot believe it that it was so similar, the wineries here. And it's nice to know that. Very nice. And then you went to Rajasthan, you saw the forts, and you went to Jaipur, did some shopping and eating. How was that, Emmanuel, for you?
It's a very nice memories because I went in Rajasthan with my parents, because my parents, before the pandemic, they went and visited us in Pune, and the 3 of us, we went to Rajasthan. And first we stopped in Agra because, you know, it's a must. It's a must to visit
the mausoleum, the Taj Mahal.
The Taj Mahal.
Yes.
And you know, you can't go in India without visiting the Taj Mahal. Yes. So, and it's funny because for this visit, we got up very early in the morning to see the sunset in front of the mausoleum. And it was very cold compared to Pune. And we saw nothing because there was such a deep fog. So, you know, it was amazing. We took picture, and on the picture we saw ourselves with big jacket and just fog around us. So it's, you know, it's very far away from the traditional postcard, you know.
Yes, I know. But did you have a nice experience to look at all that engravings in the marble, and just to be there is so beautiful.
Absolutely, peaceful. Absolutely. Yes. It's an amazing monument. Yes.
Yes.
And
yes.
And I was very surprised in Agra because there is a fort, and I didn't know that. And it's a beautiful Mongol fort. And we were very, very happy to discover it. Yes.
Discovery. That must have been a discovery, something really new and different.
Yes, absolutely.
That's really lovely. Did you do a little shopping in Jaipur?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, because the hard craft is just amazing. It's a treasure. There are so many things. Leisure work, jewelry, block printing, stoneware. So we visited the architectures, and we immersed ourselves in their history, and we do shopping as well. Yes.
That's amazing. That's really amazing, because you did so many different things, you know, block printing, jewelry, food, clothes. So that was very nice. And then, Manuel, how did you first get introduced to yoga and meditation? Because you do that even now.
Yes. So before moving to India, yoga was for me like a soft fitness, you know, very, very respectful for the body, but for old people. And
right, of course. That was your perspective on it.
Yes,
right?
absolutely. I did not know anything about it. And when I arrived in Pune, I decided to discover yoga because it was the perfect place to discover yoga.
Yes.
And so I started to practice yoga, and I never stopped. And now yoga is part of my daily life, my daily routine. And I was completely misunderstanding about the aim of yoga. I thought it was building your flexibility or doing some headstands, to impress others around you. And the more I practice, the more I understand that it is a spiritual practice, and it's a fantastic way to link the body and the mind and the spirit.
Yes.
And it is linked to meditation as well.
Right.
And I was first introduced to meditation when I was in London.
Okay.
By a friend, and it changed my life more or less. And so when I arrived in Pune, I looked forward to improving it and practicing meditation. And I discovered that Osho Ashram is very close to my house. So I thought it was a good idea to try. And, my husband was very suspicious about that because he thought it was an obscure group of people wearing all the same dress, and men have dresses. And there has been some very strange rumors about Osho, but I decided to go. And then I discovered active meditation. And before that, I thought that meditation was about to sit still and focus on the breathing and focus on the present moment.
Yes.
And then I opened my mind to a new perspective, to a new aspect of yoga, very joyful. You can dance and jump and shout while you are meditating.
That's right. So it must be that dynamic meditation they have.
Yes, dynamic, exactly, yes.
It must have been such a glorious experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sorry.
No, please go ahead.
And another thing about meditation is guru, because this was very new for me, because as a French people, I thought that a guru is someone you have to avoid, because it's if you look at the definition in the dictionary, it is a master of a sect, and someone who have an impact on you and try to get financial or sexual compensation. And so when
that's really strange.
Yes. So when my Indian friends talked about their guru, I was completely confused. So it took me time to understand that guru could also be a spiritual guide, and not someone to avoid.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess that now that you've been in India, you've already realized that the guru, we treat the guru with great reverence, so that they guide us on our path to enlightenment. So I know nowadays they use a guru sometimes very in a jocular way, like he's my fitness guru or something like that. but we are very serious about that. So I'm happy. That's really, really amazing. And Manuel, in France, food, it's cooked and served, and the cuisine is so famous. They do it in such a special way. So did you have any, sort of experiences where you came together with Indian food and then you enjoyed it?
Yes. Food for French people is something very important, and Yes, very important. And France is a very small country, but each region has its own cheese, its own wine, its own bread, pastry, and so on. So
yes, yes.
There is a big diversity. So when we celebrate, for example, when we celebrate something, or when we meet family, or when we meet friends,
yes,
most of the time it's around a meal, which that lasts for hours.
Yeah.
And when I was a child, we used to celebrate Christmas at my grandmother's.
Yes.
And she used to prepare a Christmas meal with very sophisticated and delicious dishes, which we ate only for Christmas. And after all this very long meal,
yes,
we used to eat some what we call exotic fruits. And it was pineapple and coconut and sometimes even mangoes. And when I arrived in Pune, I saw all these exotic fruits, which are, seasonal fruits. And it was like a Christmas dessert every day.
Wow.
So there is an amazing diversity of wonderful fruits, but vegetables as well. And so many spices we are not familiar with, and many breads, and yes, many different tastes.
Yes.
And it's a pleasure for French people to have all these new taste words which open up.
Yes, yes. In fact, you've been so, being up there, trying new things, allowing your taste buds to taste different textures, and in fruit, in vegetables, and in prepared concoctions also. So that must have been, and I think once you mentioned that you had an Indian cook come over and cook for your French friends.
Yes. Oh, that was an amazing experience. After the lockdown, when we were allowed to meet friends again, I wanted to celebrate it in the French way.
Yes.
Around
Yes.
a meal.
Yes.
And I wanted to do something very special for me. And I decided to experiment a cook at home. And probably it's very common for Indian family, but for me it was completely new. And it was a fun experience, because first I have to find a cook, and then I have to decide the menu, and then I have to make the cook understand, and the cook did not speak English, so I have to make him understand that I want the meal very little spicy.
Yes.
And then I have to trust him and hope he will come the right day on time. Which he did. And he came, and I was enjoying my afternoon with my husband.
Right.
And there was some fabulous smells coming from the kitchen, and I was not the one doing the job in the kitchen.
Yes, what a pleasant change.
Absolutely. And after that, we share with our friend a delicious meal. And it was a very nice memory. And, even the children, they were happy not to get some pizza this night.
Yeah, so, exactly. It was something different, something they enjoyed. So that was so beautiful. Manuel, you've been writing a blog for some years now. So please share with us about your blog, and what is it that made you start it, and what are the articles you like to put on your blog? Please do tell us.
So I started the blog when we moved to India.
Right.
So first, the idea was to share with our family and our friends our new life in Pune.
Yes.
And so I put a lot of pictures of us, of anecdotes of our daily life and things like that. And I realized that the blog was not only an album, it was it was also a way for me to take some distance from what we were living. You know, I was talking about the cultural shock.
Yes,
and it was an opportunity to put some words on what was going on.
Right.
And I try to make it in a funny way, you know, because sometimes we are in the middle of situations and to make fun of us because we are completely strangers sometimes in a cultural different world.
Yes.
And so it helps us, and it helps me because I'm the one who's writing the blog. It helps me to take a step back.
Yes.
And of course it is a way to keep memories of this family adventure. And in fact, the blog is part of our trip in India.
Wow. It will be like a, volume of beautiful happenings that were happening here. But it's lovely because all your friends from across the world can see and experience what you were doing in India. It was a beautiful idea to start that blog. And, once we know the culture and the psyche of the people, then we start understanding why they behave in a particular way, what they do, how they react. So you've done all that. You've taken pains to understand the culture. So that's so beautiful. Yes.
Yes, and it was, you're right. And it was also an opportunity to try to share the Indian culture, you know, the different festivals and all the god, the goddess. And so it was just not our daily life. It was also trying to share what we understood of the culture, Indian culture, and with our eyes, of course.
Of course, how lovely. You know, I must compliment you on your English, Manuel. You've spoken so well, so perfectly well. It's been such a pleasure to speak with you and to listen to your such, like varied and rewarding and delightful experiences in India. Of course, some might have been new and it takes time to get used to them. But this whole beautiful talk with you has been such a lovely, lovely and rewarding time for me. Thank you so much, Manuel, for coming.
My pleasure, Anjali. I'm very honored to have been your guest. Thank you very much.
I look forward to having you on our show again and again. Really. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. And for the sake of our viewers, we will be seeing you again next Friday with a person who is an actor. So I look forward to meeting you all. And Manuel, I will be in touch with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anjali. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Goodbye. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much. Thank you.